PGL Copenhagen Major has finally hit playoffs, and that means it's time to do our pick'em bracket inside of the game. This is probably one of the most stacked brackets I've ever seen in Major history, and because of that, you might not know which way you want to go. So let me try to give my thoughts on how I think that this bracket's going to play out, and we'll get into that right after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a site where you can trade skins that you already have to get some skins that you might want. That way you can hop into your next game with some fresh new skins. All you have to do is log into the site through Steam, put in the skins that you don't want anymore, grab the skins that you do, and then click trade. Trades happen almost immediately, and any balance that you don't use in the trade will roll over for a trade that you might do in the future. Right now you can get a free $5 if you were to use code Austin on the site, and if you were to use my code you would get an additional 5% on top of the 30% deposit bonus. So let's say if you deposit $100, that means you would get $135 if you use my code to deposit. So make sure you guys check out SkinsMonkey, and let's get right back into the video. Now the first match is going to be Cloud9 versus Vitality, and at face value you want to just say Vitality win this outright, but I've heard that ZywOo is actually sick at this event, and that's probably the reason why he hasn't been playing up to his standards. But I'm kind of thinking that by the time playoff starts, there's a pretty good chance that he could be feeling better, so I'm just going to assume that they're playing up to, at least as close to 100% as you could expect them to throughout this bracket. Now with all that being said, the first match that Vitality are playing against is actually going to be versus Cloud9, which is a team that's looked very good throughout the first stages of this event, and I would say that they're probably a top 3 team in just team play alone. I mean, you just watch them play. They're extremely coordinated, and of course they would be. Look at the individuals that they have on this team. I mean, you have some world-class talent on this team. You have Axile, Hobbit, Electronic. All of these players have played majors, and some of them have even won majors in the past. But there's just one thing about Cloud9 that I'm actually a little worried about, which is that they don't have a dedicated opper. I mean, sure, Boomich has been picking it up so far in the matches that I've seen, and to be honest, he's looked pretty good. But even though that's the case, I don't know if he can compete with the best of the best in the op category. I mean, for example, let's reference this game that they played in the group stage. Granted, they did win this game, keep that in mind, but Na'Vi versus Cloud9 on Mirage, Boomich versus Wonderful on the op, and Boomich went 0-9 in duels versus Wonderful. And this is a game where Cloud9 actually lost to Na'Vi. Granted, they did end up winning the best of 3, but this just basically makes my point, which is that if you have to put Boomich against one of the best oppers in the major, you're probably going to have a tough game. And I know Vitality is going to give him a tough game. I just don't think Cloud9 can compete. And so with that being said, I think that the first playoff match will go towards Vitality. Now the next game is going to be FaZe versus Spirit, which I will say will make a really good match in the arena if FaZe play up to their full potential. And that's a big if, because so far at the major, they've looked bad. I can't even lie. I'm a huge FaZe fan, and I'm just going to be honest with you. They look really bad. I mean, they barely snuck into playoffs to begin with. They got the lowest seed, which is why they're playing Spirit to begin with. And to be honest, they almost lost to Imperial. They got destroyed by Eternal Fire, and they did qualify by beating Complexity, but it's Complexity. I mean, are we really going to be that excited about making it through by beating Complexity? I mean, I'm sure. Now, if FaZe power up at this, playoff stage, if they play to their fullest potential, I think that they're going to play Spirit very close. It might even be a 3-map. It might be one of the best maps of the major. The best series, I should say. But I just don't think they have what it takes to play and beat Spirit. Maybe if Donk just doesn't play well, they might have a chance, but it doesn't matter if Donk doesn't play well, because you also have to worry about Zontix, Shiro. All of this to say, I really don't think that FaZe have a chance, and honestly, there's only one way to get a diamond coin at this major, and we already all know where that's heading, so we'll just say FaZe are not going to be making it, and I'm picking Spirit in the second match. Now the third match is going to be Eternal Fire versus Na'Vi, and Eternal Fire have looked really impressive throughout this major. I mean, they beat Virtus Pro to qualify, they dominated FaZe in a best of 1, and they also beat Vitality. They've been looking very impressive, and they're being led by Xantares, who's been having quite a resurgence in form, I will say. He's been playing lights out during this major so far, but when you take the legs of Xantares and you look at the other team on Na'Vi, you have to play versus Wonderful JL. It seems like it might be an uphill battle for Xantares, and quite frankly, Na'Vi don't look as bad as people have been saying they've been. I mean, let's be honest, Na'Vi looking bad is taking a map off of Spirit, taking a map off of Cloud9. Yeah, they lost those series, but both of those teams are also in the playoffs. I mean, I just gotta be honest with you. I think that Na'Vi are still looking to be the favorites here. Honestly, I would almost say the clear favorites. There's this world where Eternal Fire do beat Na'Vi. I won't lie. There's a chance that Xantares shows up and plays really well, and Na'Vi don't play well at all on the stage, and then you have an Eternal Fire victory. I'll say it's probably Eternal Fire's best chance to make semifinals in this major. There's definitely huge upset potential, but to be honest, I'm still gonna pick Na'Vi to win win this matchup. I think that it would be quite tragic if they didn't. Regardless, that's all I have to say about that. Let's move on to Mouse versus G2. I don't really know which way I want to go with this matchup. I mean, on the one hand, you have Mouse, who went 3-0, and they look super clean throughout the group stage. And then you're playing against G2, who looked pretty rough. I mean, there's a chance that they wouldn't even have made playoffs if James didn't crash on the second map. Let's be honest, we all know that that's, you know, there's a chance that that happens. But if we look at the people that G2 and Mouse both played to get here, I mean, Mouse had to play a static. It was a 13-11 victory. It's a best of one, but, you know, still, that's a good win for them. Mouse had to play Eternal Fire, who granted are a playoff team, but 13-11, again, it's a pretty close match. And then the only dominant match that they had was Complexity, where they just destroyed them 2-0, and that's a good result for them. But, you know, when you look on the other side of things, G2 has had to play versus, you know, in my opinion, the better teams here, and these matches are, you know, 13-11 versus Na'Vi, they lost, and 13-9 versus Cloud9, and they lost. And even though they looked pretty rough versus a static and probably should have lost to Virtus.pro, I gotta be honest with you, I still think that the individuals on G2 should be, in theory, better than the individuals on Mouse. So my honest opinion is, this match is a coin flip. I mean, Mouse looked really good. G2 have looked bad, but I mean, are you really expecting m0NESY, NiKo, and Hunter to really just go missing during playoffs of a major? Because I'm not. And even though a lot of people who know more about the specifics of the tier 1 teams would say that G2 probably are just going to lose this game outright, I'd like to say that G2 is going to make it competitive. They have a really good chance to win versus Mouse, but I will be honest with you, I think the safer pick is to pick Mouse here. They're probably going to win, and they're just, quite frankly, they're the better team at this event. With that being said, we'll have our semifinal matches set, but these are not official matches. These are still theoretical, so I won't go into detail too much on these because they're not real matchups. So we have Vitality versus Spirit, which will be a banger semifinal. Quite frankly, I think it should be the final. Like I said, assuming ZywOo is playing at 100%, this is going to be a really good match. I think that Vitality have the best chance out of every team here at the major to beat Spirit. However, it kind of just comes down to whether or not Spirit will play on stage very well versus Vitality. I mean, you know, the nerves could get to them. You know, I mean, they didn't in Katowice, so it's hard to say. But yeah, I'm still going to pick Spirit. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't see a world where Spirit lose if they make it this far. Next up, we have Na'Vi versus Mouse. This is going to be a really good match as well. But I think that if I have to be completely honest with you, in a match like this, I would favor Na'Vi. Now, I'm not really sure about you guys, but I feel like Mouse have really good individuals, and they're going to play very well in the future. But when you put them on stage here after a win versus G2, that'll probably be very scrappy, and Na'Vi is going to come into this, they're going to be hungry. They know that Mouse is inexperienced, and I think they're going to play to that, and they're probably just going to make the finals, giving us a Spirit versus Na'Vi final. And I think that it's a pretty clear victory for Spirit. However, the last time they did play, of course, like I said, Na'Vi did take a map off of them. It could still go either way. That's why this is probably going to be the best playoff bracket of all time, by the way. Hopefully all the matches are really close and entertaining. I'm hoping. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Spirit. I think Spirit have like a 75% chance of winning the major in general. So, you know, with that being said, I feel like this is probably your lock for the diamond coin if you're still in contention. I am not. I mean, we all know that I've been doing terribly these pick'ems, but honestly, so has everybody else. So let's lock these and hope for the best. If you want to copy these pick'ems, you can probably mess around with who wins which matchup, but as long as you have Spirit winning the major, you should be good for the diamond coin. I mean, like I said, I don't actually know if Mouse versus Na'Vi is going to be a Na'Vi victory, but regardless, I still think Spirit wins, so it doesn't really make a difference in the diamond coin. There's also another world where Cloud9 beat Vitality if ZywOo is still sick, and if that happens, then Cloud9 versus Spirit could be kind of close. I mean, it would be a completely different matchup theoretically, and in that case, then, you know, there's a world where Cloud9 win the major, but again, I don't see that as very likely. So with that being said, picks are locked, and I'm actually going to be on my way to Copenhagen tomorrow because I will be in the arena for all of these matches. If anybody is going to the major and you want to meet me, I'll be walking around. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. I will do my best to try to organize something if there's a lot of people who have interest in meeting me. I don't know, you know, I don't think I'm him. So if there's anybody that wants to meet me, just message me in either the comments here, or you could join my Discord and just say you're going to be there, and hopefully we can see you there. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys soon. 07. See ya, boys.